Konnichiwa, minasan. Today you're going to learn the first dialogue and the two irregular verbs. First, let's review the last lesson. Can you remember the verbs taberu and hanasu? Try to conjugate them. Do you remember how? Tabe, tabe, taberu, tabere, tabero, tabete, tabeta. Hanasa, hanashi, hanasu, hanase, hanaso, hanashite, hanashita. Taberu, to eat, and hanasu, to speak or to talk. Which verb type is manabu? Manabu, to study. Do you remember how to conjugate that one? You can figure that one out on your own. Today's key vocabulary is kuru, suru, o, itsu, iku, sumimasen, and ni. Listen for those key vocabulary. The two characters are Katsuo-kun and Sato sensei. Sumimasen, Sato sensei wa kimasu ka? Hai, ikimasu. Itsu watashi tachi wa honya ni ikimasu ka? Tatta ima ikimasu. Nani o shimasu ka? Kimi wa honya kaimasu. The pronunciation of sumimasen sounds like sumimasen, but it's written sumimasen. It's just that that's the way people say it, sumimasen. Sato sensei wa kimasu ka? Sato is his name. Sensei is like saying Mr. or Miss for a teacher or a doctor. Kimasu ka? Kuru, to come. Is Mr. Sato coming? In Japanese, people don't usually say you whenever they're talking to people that they have to respect. So they say their name, or they just avoid it altogether. Katsuo-kun decided to say Sato sensei. Hai, that means yes. Ikimasu, iku. This can mean I go, I'm going, let's go, go. It can mean any of those things. You're going. In this case it means and I'm going. Itsu watashi tachi wa honya ni ikimasu ka? Itsu is when. Watashi tachi is we or us. Honya is a bookstore. Hon is book and ya is store. Ni is to or at. Tattaima ikimasu. Tattaima means right now. So we're going right now. Nani o shimasu ka? Nani is what? Wo is the object marking particle. Shimasu is to do. That's one of the irregular verbs. What are we doing? Or what are we going to do? Kimi wa hon wo kaimasu. Kimi is another way to say you, but it's more friendly. Kaimasu is to buy. Kau, you're going to buy a book, or you buy a book. Katsuo-kun and Sato sensei. There are two different name suffixes. One is kun and one is sensei. I already told you what sensei means. That means teacher, Mr., Mrs., or doctor. Kun is to show that you are familiar with that person. It's usually used for young boys, but sometimes it's used for young girls. So you can say Kimiko-kun, or you can say Katsuo-kun. More usual to say it after a boy's name. The usual one that goes on girls' names is chan. Chan. So Kimiko-chan. Kimiko-chan. You can sound kind of rude if you use kun or chan in the wrong situation. So the most safe way to go is saying san at the end. So Katsuo-san would be more polite, or even just using their last name instead. So it would be like Sato-san. The two irregular verbs are kuru and suru. Kuru is irregular because the dictionary form is kuru, but it changes through the conjugation. So it goes ko, ki, kuru, kire, kiro, kitte, kitta. See, it's very irregular. It's something that you have to memorize so that you don't get confused. Kuru means to come. Suru is to do. Shi, suru. Shiro, shite, shita. Some people like to group iku with the irregular verbs because it's all of it is conjugated normally except for the te and ta forms. Ika, iki, iku, ike, iko, ite, ita. Normally with the ku ending on those types of verbs, it would be ita, but in this case it's ta. So that's why some people like to group it with irregular, but it's not completely irregular. Finally, there were two new particles in this dialogue. O and ni. O is the object marking particle. It marks the object of the sentence, or the word that receives the action. Pan wo tabemasu. Pan is bread, and tabemasu is to eat, so I'm eating the bread. The object of the sentence is pan. It's receiving the action. Pan is receiving tabemasu. The subject of the sentence is watashi, or anata. Then there's ni, which is the time marker and the direction marker, or something like that. So if you want to say, I'm going to the bookstore, you say, Honya ni ikimasu. Honya ni ikimasu. So it's like to. Honya ni, to the bookstore.